and so and it's interesting because I wrote this song a little bit before the election and a little bit after during that whole period. So it's definitely influenced by what's going on, what happened, and what's still happening, sadly, and which will be happening for a while. We have to fight it. But I think this subject is very it's a good lesson. And when I first started writing the song, what had happened is that my dear friend, the sadly departed Carrie Fisher, the great Carrie Fisher, here's for Carrie Fisher. I was with her hanging out, and she was on the phone to her attorney, and she said something like, it's like the fucking sword of Damocles. And that stuck in my head. And then another friend of mine, whose name is Bernadette, she was French, and the next day we had lunch, and she said, "It is like the sword of Damocles." And I was like, okay, I should write a song about this, maybe. So I kept writing, and the whole time I was like, of course, sword of Damocles. Yeah, there's like a king, and his name is Damocles, and he's got a big sword. Is he kidding me, Bob? And then finally I got to the third verse, and I was like, I should Google this. And I did, and that's not the story of Damocles. Luckily, it still worked with what I had written. But for those of you who don't know the story exactly, which I didn't actually know the story. But I'll tell you it very quickly, because it's incredibly important, is that Damocles was not the emperor or the king. He was a subject of Dionysus II. He was the emperor. And they're sitting around one day, and Damocles says, "Oh, it must be so incredible being emperor. You have so much power and wealth and palaces and, women and all that crap." and then all of a sudden they switch places, and it's kind of like a Freaky Friday. And Freaky Wednesday, and Damocles is suddenly the emperor, and as well as the palaces and gold and food and women and all that, he notices as well that above his head is hanging this sword, and it's hanging from a horse's hair right above his head, and that any minute he makes a bad move, his head will get cut off by the sword. So that's the story. So
Cut the thread.